across the line. Look at that defense from Krasowski, immediately covering off Olivier, but Olivier chucks it down into hell corner, and it looks like he's got a better exit too. They're now going to drag race up to Griffin's Bend.
Yes, they are. Here they're going to be in that straight drag race, and that's going to be Genet trying to hold on behind in that Lamborghini to see if there's anything to be had. Absolutely nothing there between the two of Krasowski and Olivier.
Krasowski's going to have the inside, but he doesn't break quite as deep. That outside is hard to hold on to, and that is why Olivier, a spin though, up at the front. Everybody tries to scatter to the inside. Krasowski falling all the way to the back. Will he get hit? No. Absolutely sends it into Sunset Bends, and cutting back underneath. We're going to go 3 wide onto the main straight and almost cutting across. Newhook nearly gets hooked himself, and thankfully has just enough space to go by Danny Cervantes. Cervantes using that slipstream to catch back up and see if he can keep Kings behind him. Kings has the desired inside line, and once again an over-under potentially no. Ryan Kings now into P3. Another attack from Reynolds, attempted into the inner loop, again, does not stick.
He peeks his nose to the inside through the carousel one more time. They've got a lapped car up ahead of him. When are they going to catch it? Can Reynolds capitalize as he now peeks to the outside? And they're side by side.
If he can keep here, he'll have the inside down into the toe of the boot, and he does. He's got the overlap. This could be job done. If he can manage to get in front and a little too deep into the corner. Schutt has to give it up, tries to square it off, looks for maybe a better exit, and I think he's got it. The lapped car helps him. He's going to try and fight back. Reynolds now gives him a taste of his own medicine as he covers the inside, breaking deep, down into the heel of the boot. They carry on side by side. Has he got the inside into turn 9? I think he might. He could have this one back. This will be an incredible fight back here from the 31, and he's got it. Closer than he's been before, and it's a white flag lap now. Does he try and get it here? Does he wait till later? This seems like a good opportunity for me. And indeed, he's once again going to be on the inside for De La Rosa, but this will be the outside into Curva Grande. Will we see Laus Stolzen start to come back forward on him?
They got
Don't
traffic.
forget about Iamaki as well. And they're going to have to stay out to the side. Oh, no, they come together. They come together, and that's going to send Olsen into a horrible tumble while Iamaki carries on with the lead. Back at Snetterton, the drivers experienced a topsy-turvy and chaotic race, but that was a small and simple track with a short lap. Much longer and with far more turns, Motegi should offer up more places for drivers to be able to race properly. But with the GTP points lead so close, will it cause the tension to boil over between Ardo and Antti? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 11 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Motegi has disappeared from the world stage somewhat over the last decade, so why don't we head down to our track guide to get a better look at what the road course includes. Welcome to Twin Ring Motegi. This well-known Japanese racing facility located roughly 2 hours north of Tokyo gets its name from the fact that it has both an oval and a road course that can be run. But a unique feature of this track is that instead of having a roval layout, the road course is entirely separate from the oval circuit. On top of that, drivers have 3 different road courses to choose from in the form of the Grand Prix, East, and West circuits. While not totally devoid of elevation change, the track is relatively flat. What distinguishes the place the most is the combination of plenty of long straights heading into heavy braking zones. This means that passing opportunities abound. With it being built in 1996, it has most of the qualities you'd expect from a modern road course, including flat curves, a fair amount of runoff, and multiple pit complexes. Oddly, because of the oval, the track includes night lighting for a portion of the road circuit. Though there isn't much notable about most of the turns, one of the more distinctive corners is the final chicane on the Grand Prix course. Leading out of a tunnel that returns you to the oval infield, it's kinked on entry and it tightens greatly at the second apex. This makes pushing the limits of this corner extremely tough, and it often catches drivers out. Though international series such as IndyCar and MotoGP have held rounds at the track, today it is mainly used for local open wheel and GT series. Still, the one-of-a-kind experience offered to drivers and fans at this circuit is sure to keep people coming back for years to come. Well, in a hazy day here at Twin Ring Motegi, it might be a little hard to see some of the track, but what will the drivers experience out there in this mixed class racing?
Well, Joe, Twin Ring Motegi is one of the oddest courses on the Camel calendar. This nearly 3 mile or 4.8 kilometer 14-turn course features a 2.5 lane track with a static width all the way around and not much banking to speak of at all. Characteristic by its dipping inside and outside of the super speedway, it's a very interesting track to handle for sure. The Audis will struggle here, as the many medium speed 90 degree and 180 degree unbanked corners will wreak havoc on their front tires. The Nissans will have it a little easier, but the nearness of the grass at every corner and lack of banking make maximizing the track a dangerous and slippery affair. Multiclass here should be fairly straightforward, but we've seen some dramatic comings togethers here in the past, especially at the short shoot from 8 to 9, where the Nissans will often take a late dive up the inside and try and maintain their pace, taking away the Audi's line. In short, Joe, this track is like a box of chocolates, and I'm excited to see what we're going to get.
Well, what we're going to get could wind up being decisive in the championship, because right now in the prototypes, there is only 8 points between Iamaki and Lepisto. And Lepisto took the last salvo, taking the win back at Snetterton. So momentum is in his favor. If he could get that close to tied by the end, we have quite a finale on our hands. But Iamaki, if he wins, it's going to be difficult for Ante, most likely, to try and catch up. In the meantime, Heitor Sintes Galindo effectively out of it. I'm not sure if it's mathematically decided there, but regardless, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to get in. Same thing with Laust Olsen, who's very close behind. Those two continue to swap positions back and forth almost every single round, and Fabian Jungbluth rounds out your top 5 in the prototypes. And as we've reported in the last few rounds, of course, GTOs are wrapped up at the top, Adam.
Yes, by starting this race, Jukka Leskala will win the championship for the GTO championship with 50 points ahead of Escalantiniemi. That's 2 wins exactly. So by starting this race, he'll get points, which means he will clinch the championship. Vili Rola is 17 points behind of Esco, so definitely has room to make up to get into that second position. And he's got 2 rounds to do it, so it's going to be very interesting to see whether he can. Mark Ole a little bit too far back, I think 15 points back, and considering Vili's running has been very excellent, I don't think we're going to see him get past. And Jamie Hamill-Smith, 109 points back of the lead, quite a ways off of the points. But that being said, Joe, Vili's not here today, so third may swap hands.
Ooh, interesting. Not quite what I was expecting, but for what to expect in this race itself, it's another 48-minute event, and as you can see, the penultimate round. Open setups in this series, so drivers will have to try and walk that line between downforce and speed, because there's a lot of long straights, but there's also quite a few corners around the lap here. They don't have a spare car. If they get any damage, they're going to have to deal with it, or actually come down to pit lane and get it repaired. And they have a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents with a disqualification at 25. Right now, we've got a couple of our GTPs that have gone through, and Ardo Iamaki has a provisional pole. Sean Campbell actually up into second place here. So Laust Olsen gets bumped down into third. In the meantime, Laust has been pretty quick this season and is still only about a little less than 4/10 behind Ardo. He could get back into this before all is said and done. Phil Lake, meanwhile, on, well, the provisional pole for about a second before Jukka Leskala in the GTOs has taken that away as well.
Yeah, Phil has been swapping between the GTO and the GTP this season, so that means he's just not quite as efficient as Yuko right now. Yuko right now 0.2 of a second ahead of Phil Lake in the GTOs, so taking that GTO pole right now. Javier Del Olmo in third position at the moment for the GTOs. A nice qualifying for him. Up in the GTPs, Sean Campbell up in that second position. Laus Olsen in third at the moment as they've completed their first laps and coming around for their second now.
Ooh, and Antti Lepisto's first lap is not looking good. 7/10 of Arto Iamaki, off of Arto Iamaki. And he has got some work to do for sure. He's only fourth position. Hugh Haycox, though, tends to be fast. What's this going to be for him? Second lap, a 34.9. That'll be up to third place. Still about 0.3 off of Arto, but he is going to be at the forefront, vying for this one. And we still need Trangrade to get one down. Orang, Suarez, Don Peak needs a lap. So there is some big hitters that need to come around. Sean Campbell's just completing as we watch Trangrade. Sean Campbell takes away from Iamaki, who does not improve on his second lap.
That's a surprise to see Sean up there at the front. I mean, he's very quick, but Arto and Antti have been the class of the field this season, so Sean Campbell taking pole. Great run from him. Ove Trangrade trying to complete a lap as well. He's going to dive down underneath the super speedway and come out through the very complex section through 12, 13, and 14 and out onto the start-finish straight. So here we go, that left-hander into 12, through 13, and through 14. It's so hard to get the power down in these GTPs and keep it straight, and he manages to glowing brake discs and all. He crosses the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 1:35.538. That's going to be good enough for seventh.
And it's a case of so close yet so far away for Phil Lake. He got within 0.06 of a second on his second lap, only for Leskala to put it 0.6 away from him after that. So Yuko responded big time, making sure nobody can touch him. As here's Esko Letiniemi trying for that second place in the championship. And keeping away from Barola, who has been spotty on his attendance. The Finn looks like he's got a little bit of damage on
front end damage on that.
How did he do
car.
that?
I have no idea. Probably coming out of the pits, but it's just fascinating. I mean, there's not high enough curves around here for that to happen, but regardless, let's see whether or not he improves his time. A 48.394, and he does by 10/100ths, and that unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to count for him. That would have brought him within 6/1000ths of a second of Phil Lake.
Oh, man, yeah, 16 thousandths I'm seeing between himself and the number 5 in the end. Trangrade still on that second flyer, as we were watching Don Peak there, who's unfortunately had both laps deleted, so had an off there, it seems, on both attempts. So the Norwegian, who was in a very good fight for second back in the Lotus 49s earlier this morning, comes around through the haze, which looks like it's clearing up, thankfully for us, and gives us some better perspectives around the track down to the line with 20 seconds to go. It is a 35.243. That's an improvement and up into sixth for him. Actually putting Antti Lepisto down into seventh. The number 1 is far away from Arto here today.
Absolutely. So Trangrade with a great lap. Our last driver out there is Linus Orang, but he won't be able to finish this practice lap. That'll take us to the grid.
Indeed. Well, before we get to that grid, let's mention our channel sponsor. Make sure and check out the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. Up at the top, it is Sean Campbell with the pole position. Arto Iamaki starts next to him. Hugh Haycox, he mentioned he wasn't happy with his qualifying there, so maybe he's got some more in it, starting from third. Laus Olsen will be next to him in fourth. Robert Plumley starts from fifth, and then it's Ove Trangrade in P6. Antti Lepisto only seventh today. Fabian Jungbluth a little bit far down compared to what he's had before. Eighth place for him, as Doug Cloud will be ninth, and then top 10 is rounded out by Javier Mascara. Gianluca Gabbiani, P11, will be followed by Emerson Gaudin in 12th. You've got Pablo Suarez in 13th and Romain Belorgi in 14th. Marc Olay starts P15 today. 20. Linus Orang in 16th, Ben Laughter 17th, and Kurt Clapper in 18th position. Top 20 and last to set qualifying times is Hideki Koivisto in 19th and Cam Porter in 20th. Jason Clapper, Donald Peak, and Christian Ribas will be gridded at the back of the prototype field.
Yuko Leskala takes pole in the GTOs, with Philip Lake lining up alongside him. Escalatanami lining up in third, just 16 1/1000ths off of Phil Lake's time. Franco Scurry in fourth position, with Javier Del Olmo lining up in fifth. Andre Schumacher is going to line up in the sixth spot, ahead of Ian Haycox, driving with that modified setup. Phenomenal to see him here as well, with Jamie Hamill-Smith in eighth position. Then we have ninth for Oren Laskin, Devin Donaghy in the 10th position. Fabio Saul is going to line up in 11th, the last car to set a qualifying time. Then Carlos Fonseca did not set a qualifying time. He'll be lining up in 12th spot, and rounding out your 35 car field today, Joe.
And it's not a complete pace lap, so this is going to be short. You can see they're in front of the support pits, and then they weave their way under the oval part of this track, which is completely unconnected to this road course. A very unique setup at this track. In fact, I'm not sure of any others in the world that has this sort of situation. And as we come through the pit entry, there goes the pace car. Sean Campbell has control. How long is he going to check him up here as he waits patiently for the green flag? Now he goes. Green flag is out. Campbell with a good launch, but it looks like Hugh Haycox is going to be able to overtake Iamaki up into that second position, down into the first corner. Behind him, a lot of double file into there, but it's relatively wide, and as they file off of it, it looks safe, weaving back and forth. Campbell holds the lead. Let's go to the GTOs.
An enormous jump for Yuko Leskala over Phil Lake. He started before the green flag flew, just keeping track of the time for the GTPs up ahead, so he's way ahead of Phil Lake right now. Franco Scurry has made a pass on Escalatanami, actually, and Javier Del Olmo as well. So Esco falling back early in this race. He falls back to fifth.
Not good for his championship hopes for second place. And here we've got Del Olmo trying to see if he can keep Letaniemi behind, playing a little bit of defense down into turn 5. Also, Ian Haycox trying to send himself up the inside of Schumacher. Neither one able to make a pass.
Devin Donaghy alongside Jamie Hamill-Smith in the back for the 8th position as well. So very close racing for these GTOs. Up at the GTP field, it's been pretty much single file ever since they went through turns 7 and 8. Those turns absolutely straightening out the cars, just as we see in the GTOs here as well. So a really challenging drive. These GTO class, nearly a quarter of the size of the GTPs. That means their only chance to battle each other really is right now.
Yep, as we ride on board with Donaghy, his VR setup. And somebody's off in front of him. That's Schumacher.
Andre Schumacher off into the gravel. He took it way deep.
And that's going to send him to the very back of the GTO field. Unfortunately, already the GTPs have finished the first lap. It's Campbell, Haycox, Iamaki, your podium positions, with Olsen close behind Ardo, trying to see if he can keep up and try and challenge to spray the champagne today. Train Grade's also not looking too far behind him as well. But I wonder, Haycox very quickly disposed of Ardo. Does he have the pace to challenge Campbell today?
I'm not sure, but I just took a look at what happened to Hideki Koivisto that has him in the pits, and he actually got into the back of Ben Laughter coming to the green flag even before they reached the green. So that's why he's in the pits with so much damage. So unfortunately for Ben, and also for Marco Lay, they all have damage right now.
Well, that is disappointing to see. It's frustrating, I can only imagine, for the drivers not getting to take part in the race at all, unless he can get repairs and return pretty quickly. Meanwhile, we're looking at the number 3 of Campbell coming around and through the hairpin as he flies down the long straight into turn 11. Just once again, I'm seeing a lot of him trying to bob to the side to break the slipstream.
Yeah, it's a little surprising because the straights aren't super long here, but Hugh Haycox, we've seen how fast he's been in the last couple of rounds. His consistency has been a little bit lacking, but Hugh and Ardo absolutely putting pressure on Sean. You can see Sean weaving to break that draft again. I don't think he's trying to get heat in those tires. I think you're right, Joe. He's trying to break the draft to behind, but it's so hard to do. We got a nice battle for third position in the GTOs. Franco Scurry and Javier Del Olmo are nearly side by side as they head towards the downhill.
Franco doing quite good today here, looking at a potential podium, but Javier wants to have something to say about that. Downhill braking on a relatively flat track, and looks like Javier's going to be able to handle it well. Oh, almost contact there as Scurry pinched to the inside was slow. Letaniemi nearly runs into him. This checks up everybody in this group, including Ian Haycox, and Haycox is going to lose a spot to Hamill Smith in the background.
Yeah, that 12, 13, 14 complex is so challenging to achieve. Fabio Saul now passing Oren Laskin on the straight, as well as we see Ian Haycox slotting himself in front of Devin Donaghy, and the GTPs are only about a minute behind right now, so these battles are got to be sorted pretty soon. It's very close up there between Franco Scurry and Javier Del Olmo, as Scurry wants that position back, and Letaniemi putting some heavy pressure on him.
Yeah, Javier shut the door down into turn 3, but I think Esco's got a great run. He's going to try and poke his nose down to the inside as we watch from Haycox's view. The elder Haycox just steering it in to the right-hander. And now flying under the bridge and into the outfield, they start to separate slightly. What was a close fight gets a tiny breather.
Yeah, a tiny breather, but they can't breathe for too long. They've got a lot of traffic coming up behind them. They need to make these passes as soon as possible, and it's really hard to do so, but Ian Haycox is trying to put the pressure on as they go through the short chute into turn 9 now. They're going to go down a longer chute up to the hairpin at 10, and Esco is actually making a move on Franco up the inside of the hairpin. Franco late braking, but with no banking to help him. He's on the outside in the long way around to the hairpin.
Letaniemi now up into P4. Remember, he lost some positions at the start, so he wants to claw those back. Scurry's not giving up. He's staying with him, but does not duck his nose in. He'll stay on the racing line down into 11. Oh, and a missed shift. I think Letaniemi didn't get it into gear, and he hits the wall because of it.
That's a hard hit, and Franco Scurry falls back because he lost speed coming down the hill, coming off of the acceleration there. So very, very rough moment for Esco. Yeah, he absolutely missed a shift and made contact with Franco.
And Ian Haycox had to cut across the track to try and make that chicane as Hamill Smith and Scurry go side by side. Coming down through the first turn, a little wide behind them from Donaghy, having trouble finding the grip. Once again, we got a drag race back up the aisle and into turn 3. Hamill Smith is close, but he decides it's better not to stick it in.
What a great battle we're seeing between these guys. Franco Scurry and Hamill Smith having a duke out here in the GTOs before the traffic catches up to them. A great rush.
Yeah, I think Hamill Smith is going to try for this once again. No, he's going to sit behind. And Donaghy starting to collect himself. Same thing with Ian Haycox. We saw his on board a moment ago with his special assisted setup. If you're just tuning in for the first time, what happened?
Huge wreck! Javier Mosquera absolutely pinwheeling through the air.
And this was out from underneath the bridge. How did this happen?
Ben Laughter ends up catching some grass after being worried about running into the back of Cam Porter. And then Javier Mosquera just went for a ride.
Here we go. Spins him across. Oh, just an innocent victim. And he catches that wall, it looks like. I don't think I've ever seen that before. There's just a tiny little wall jutting up past the barrier, and he's going to run right into it.
Oh my goodness. And if we had a cameraman there,
he'd be gone.
Would not be a cameraman anymore.
Well, one of Dougie's cams thankfully surviving that one, but yeah, into pit lane naturally, as you'd expect. Up at the front, by the way, Hugh Haycox, the junior Haycox, is still right up with Campbell, and as soon as I say that, commentators curse. He loses some pace with slipping the wheels up, and it went from 4/10 up to 8/10.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugh Haycox doing a good job of keeping the pressure on to Sean Campbell. Ardo Iamaki back to about 2 seconds behind these guys, and Lost Olsen another 3 back from there. Angelo Pisto, Joe, has not improved his position since the start of the race. He's still back in 7th position right now, trying to duke it out with Robert Plumley, but he's a second back of Robert.
I wonder if this pace is genuine then. Is he struggling just to try and keep up here with Plumley, Trangrade, Lost Olsen? coming down the front stretch and into turn one once again. And you mentioned it before, let's not forget that the lap traffic is approaching quickly. Carlos Fonseca probably going to get caught this time around.
Absolutely, and it will at least be by the end of this lap. Interesting battles. We just had Linus. Oh, we just had a slip up from Plumley, actually. Anti Lepisto able to get by.
Oh, Anti now up into 6th place, so he heard us talking and took umbrage with that, decided it's time to move. He'll get up into P6, and he's got the number 1 in his car, so he's certainly got the iRating to back himself up. For some reason, the pace just doesn't seem to be all that great.
Yeah, this flat track is really a challenge for a lot of drivers. You have to build the setup properly, you have to manage your tires so well. It's just a real challenge right now as Ben Laughter into the pits.
Yeah, the car was too damaged probably from that initial hit, and he took a tow, so no need for a replay on that one. Pretty uneventful there as we follow Anti, second in the championship, last round's winner, off of turn 10. Plumley looking like he's holding on at least, but certainly not challenging. Meanwhile, down in 5th in the GTOs, is Donahue going to have a chance at this? He's down to the inside of Hamel Smith. Jamie's going to try and fight back. He'll have the inside of turn 3.
Yeah, I think Jamie's going to have a good opportunity here, but they've got Escalatanimi looking on their back as well. Ooh, Devidani with a late braking, trying to hold it on the outside, absolutely decks all the cones, trying to hold it out there, but Jamie Hamill-Smith on this flat track just has the advantage on the inside, parks it on the apex, keeping Devidani behind. Devin trying to power it out now as they head towards turn 4. It's going to be a real challenge to get around the outside of this turn.
Yeah, it's a good thing that that DJ Clark is out in Florida right now calling the SRO race in St. Petersburg, because he'd be upset at all the cone friends getting murdered here today. Meanwhile, into the S's, Hamel Smith is not out of the woods. Donahue still breathing down his neck. Esko Letiniemi sitting in 7th, wanting to make up for already multiple mistakes in this race.
And Joe, our leaders are in traffic. Sean Campbell is into the traffic. He's now battling with Andre Schumacher and Oren Laskin, and he actually gets cut off by Andre Schumacher, and so that's going to bring Hugh Haycox right into the battle. Andre trying to get past Laskin, that's why he cut him off. Andre absolutely taking his line, regardless of what's going on behind him. That's what they tell you to do, but I think Sean would have preferred that he move over for him just a little bit there on the straight.
And Haycox was more hesitant. You could see checked up because he didn't know whether he was clear off to the right-hand side. So he just held his line as the number 3 of Campbell coming past Fabio Sol, and that's going to once again be on the racing line for Hugh Haycox. Artu Yamaki having to wait patiently through the chicane, and a big wheel spin for the number 4 coming off of the last chicane. Meanwhile, look at Laust Olsen here.
Laust Olsen under heavy pressure from Ove Trangrade as they get going, and we've had a wreck in the GTOs. That big battle we were watching, Devin Donahue has spun, I think off the back of Andre Schumacher.
And Hamel Smith as well involved, it seems. So this is strange. Oh,
late braking from Donahue.
Yeah, ghost contact into Hamel Smith, unfortunately. Donahue gets it rolling once again. You can see him looking off to the side as he gets the car up to speed, making sure he doesn't cut anybody off.
Yeah, absolutely. So Donahue trying to get going once again, but he's had a couple of moments of late braking, unfortunately. So just missing those braking zones just a little bit, causing him to fall back of the field. He's now, unfortunately, last of the GTOs on track. Meanwhile, Laust Olsen under heavy pressure from Ove Trangrade. Trangrade cannot find a way by, though, and the traffic really starting to hold both of these guys up.
Wonder what the pucker factor is right now for Laust Olsen. Behind them, actually, Antti Lepisto got re-overtaken by Plumley, who used the traffic to beautiful effect to sneak by. And so he is now up into 6th position once more, down into the braking of turn 10. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, this is a big group of cars between Lepisto, Cloud, Jungbluth, and Plumley, and they're all trying to make their way through the mid-pack of the GTOs. Hamel Smith, Schumacher, Laskin.
Into turn 11 now, slightly breaking apart, but Doug Cloud behind them, seeing Fabian Jungbluth starting to catch up.
And Hugh Haycox just had a nice run on Sean Campbell entering turn 1. They're nose to tail now.
It's back on once again. And they've caught up to at least Phil Lake, so it's now spreading out. Look at the defense from Sean Campbell. He does not feel safe at all coming down into turn 3. Just 2 more cars, and they're through the entire GTO field for the first time. Another little look from Haycox comes back to the racing line. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to catch Phil at a great spot here. This is where the track really starts to weave back and forth with few long straightaways.
Yeah, it's going to be into 7 and 8. So, Haycox gets held up. This is going to hold him up through the entire sequence. There's nowhere he can go, and Campbell's going to get a second lead.
Cuts underneath him. That was probably the smart move, the safer move down into there. And now Iamaki on to Hugh Haycox as they come out and around 9 and into 10. It's a gap of about 1.2 seconds, but that can be regained. Unfortunately, it's not going to be through traffic for some time because they have a long ways to go before they get back around to the GTOs yet again. So the battle becomes for second place as well as for fourth place here. We see between Olsen and Traegerade there for a moment.
Close there between Ardo Iamaki and Hugh Haycox, as Hugh Haycox was a lot earlier on the brakes than Ardo. Ardo being very aggressive on the brakes right now as he's trying to get going, and something's happened to Pablo Suarez and to Fabio Saul.
He's in the wall. He's going to have to whip turn it around. That was Suarez and Ian Haycox. Contact between them.
Yeah, the hitbox of the GTP falls afoul of Ian Haycox, unfortunately. Just got into the back of... Oh, man, just such a difficult moment there for both of them.
Look at this for second place. That's Iamaki. Championship implications, possibly. He needs as many points as he can get, and he's trying to threaten on Hugh Haycox. Hugh's going to stay defensive. Down into turn 5. Back to the racing line. He leaves a little bit of space there for Ardo to go around the outside if he breaks late, but no, can't take it as they go nose to tail once again.
Now they're going to head into 7 and 8. Whoever takes this best is going to have a good run down the short chute to 9, which is a heavy braking zone, over 90 degrees, but not quite 180. It looks like Hugh Haycox gets the better of that run.
And at the same time, Lepisto's side by side with Plumley here in the GTPs, but Plumley now fends him off as they come into the S's. Anti's been staying right with it, but frustratingly, he cannot seem to go by the number 12.
No, the 12 absolutely holding him off. I'm sure Anti's got to be kicking himself right now, trying to get by. He's been trying to get by for so long, unfortunately. It's just so challenging.
The action here in the GTPs has been non-stop. We've had a little fun over in the GTOs, but they've settled in. So really, this is where all the fun is for the time being, coming out of turn 11 once again. We watch off the rear of Laust Olsen. There's the pucker factor, and it is definitely showing its face.
Here we go with Ove Traegerade right off the back of Laust Olsen. He could probably send it deep into 1 if he wants to, but I think he's going to try and hold off and maybe make a move into 2 if he can get a good run off the corner, but he's going to take a shallower exit than Laust, which gives Laust a better exit off of turn 1 as they approach 2.
Going to have to do better than that if Ove wants to try and attack his fellow Scandinavian. And coming through 3 and 4, doesn't look like the best of exits there for the Norwegian. And things finally settling down a little bit because it looks like towards the front, Iamaki's falling off of Haycox now somewhat. So are we seeing the drivers finally get a chance to collect themselves and take assessment of their surroundings?
Unfortunately, it looks like Andre Schumacher had a little bit of a technical issue, so he's unfortunately parked his car. He had a late braking moment on the downhill into turn 11 and has now parked his vehicle, so Andre Schumacher out of the race.
Also want to give a little update on our GTO lead. Jukka Leskala still out there at the top spot right now. There he is. He's just overtaken by Jungbluth and Cloud, who continue on with their battle. But it's about 5 seconds over Phil Lake currently. Yuko basically looking to try and add to those 8 wins he's already collected.
We got a nice 4-way battle for the GTPs down in the 14th position between Jason Clapper, Emerson Gaudin, Cam Porter, Kurt Clapper, and Pablo Suarez now, so 5 cars. And these guys are absolutely nose to tail as they head towards turn 10.
Jason Clapper, the front of the train, and gets a great exit coming on the support pit straight. Gaudin looks like he doesn't have much of an answer, at least for the time being. Cam Porter starting to close in behind him, just getting ready to lap Javier Del Olmo as they come into the chicane. This is where the GTO should have a better exit. So will they be able to get the run? A little bit of wheel spin from Clapper. And he is going to be able to get by, but how many of them? Gaudin now approaching. No, only one of them able to overtake Javier.
Absolutely. So Javier is going to go a little bit wide and then hit the second apex of one. And now we've got a pass going on. That's Porter making it past Gaudin. They're going to split Del Olmo as they head towards turn 2. Side by side under braking. That's Clapper who's ahead, and they make side by side contact. And now that's Clapper who's made his way past Suarez as well. Cam Porter up in the lead of Gaudin, Clapper, and Suarez.
Nice job by everybody, and you got to feel for poor Del Olmo. He was just sitting there, and suddenly he's being ganged up on by all these cheese wedges trying to battle amongst themselves. So that gets sorted out without incident. Porter now has 15th position. Gaudin falls to 16th. Kurt Clapper, P17, and Pablo Suarez, 18th.
This is a battle we're going to have to keep our eyes on for most of the race because these guys are absolutely going to be duking it out. And as soon as they get into more GTO traffic, now granted, the GTOs are so thin this race, Joe, that there's not going to be that much traffic. So it's just going to be a pick here or there. We're not going to see a lot of battling.
Trying to get his nose in. Looks like Kurt Clapper wanted to do something there, but couldn't quite find it. So he'll have to try once again a little bit later. And breaking down into turn 11, yeah, look at Gaudin start to try and attack on Porter after he lost that position. He wants it back quickly. And I've been also half watching Olsen and Trangrade because they've been hovering at less than half a second, but have been teasing us as we get more wheel spin coming off that slow chicane, this time from Emerson.
Absolutely. So these guys continuing to battle, and the battle for fourth is starting to heat up definitely between Laust and Ove Trangrade. This is very close as Ove's been, but this is not into a passing turn. This isn't a 7 and 8 again. The S is here, and look at that. Laust also took 7 a little deep. This might give an opportunity to Trangrade, but he just can't get the power down. It's like Laust has a little bit more wing in it, allowing him to get off at these slower corners a little quicker than Ove Trangrade, which is giving him the opportunity to snake away. Now Ove Trangrade coming up to the braking 410. Let's see whether or not he laid apexes. He's going to give it a shot. Just a little bit of slip from the rear end of Ove means Laus is going to be able to keep away.
Yeah, let's watch this onboard here because, yeah, even with the slipstream, he's not gaining at all. And Laust Olsen able to keep himself at arm's length. Ove Trangrade has got to try and do something a little desperate, I imagine, if he wants to get this passed on or have to wait for a mistake out of the number 10.
Yeah, it's an open setup series, so the drivers can set up the cars however they like. Now, here we go. This is a good opportunity from Ove, but he's just not gaining enough. He'd have to set it very deep into one, and he doesn't feel like now's the right time, I don't think. Meanwhile, our lead of the race is also as close between Hugh Haycox and Sean Campbell, and these two have been alone on track for quite a while, and Hugh Haycox has a similar issue to Ove that he can't seem to get by.
Ooh, interesting. He was a little bit far away before, so it seems that Hugh does have generally better pace than Sean Campbell. Now that he's caught him, though, he's got to overtake him. He's still got half the race left to go, so there is time, but the question is where and how does he want to do it?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough ask to try and get by Sean Campbell. Hugh Haycox is a wily man, though. He has an opportunity to do it. But it's going to be a real challenge for him to accomplish because Sean Campbell's just so quick in a straight line. This is the opposite problem that Ove Trangrade has. Ove's got a more trimmed out car than Laust Olsen, but Hugh Haycox is more trimmed out than Sean Campbell, and Hugh's stuck behind Sean because Sean can get a better run off the corners.
So they come down and into 11 here, back into the infield. Kurt Clapper's had a problem. Once again, under one of the overpasses, as we finally find a camera that can show him there, and he takes a tow immediately. Yeah, self-spin, found his way into the wall, and had to come in to get repairs done. There was a pretty good run from Trangrade once again on Olsen coming out of the chicane. But again, not able to try and attack down into turn one. There's just not a lot of braking into this double apexer.
There's not a lot of passing zones in general, and you have to really nail your exits onto the long straights in order to get a good pass. I would say exit of 10 is the best opportunity you're going to get, so you could do a launch into 11. Exit of 14 if you could get the power down there, but honestly, if the driver ahead just parks it on the apex of the corner previous and makes you brake a little bit longer, that often causes an issue. Robert Plumley side by side with Anthony Lepisto as we're watching on screen.
And I was just about to say Suarez had a spin, but we'll go back to that later. Plumley is not going to be able to get past, or is he? He gets a great launch despite being pitched out of the inside. Lepisto still has to fight it. Outside is 6, but the S's start at 7. He'll start with the inside. He's through. Does he shut the door? He does.
Yeah, good move from Lepisto to take the inside of 7 there and to just absolutely send it deep and through the corner and force Plumley to have to back out or try and take the speed in and go onto the grass. So great move there from Lepisto to get by, but Plumley's not done yet. He's made his way past Ante a couple of times, so if Ante slips up again, Plumley's going to be right there.
An update, we don't need to go to the replay, but Suarez in the 19 had a self-spin is what happened coming towards the end of the lap. So he's back rolling, and I don't think he even lost many positions in the process of
Look at this,
that.
best run that Ove's got. Oh, but he clips the grass and loses it.
Something's happened to Lepisto. In fact, Lepisto is now under threat from Jungbluth. What happened here?
It was late braking into 11, Joe. He took it too deep into 11 and got on the grass and almost spun the thing around. We need a replay of this.
Yeah, this was almost an exact repeat of laughter with Mosquera, and thankfully did not spin it across the track. Lepisto into 7th once again. It's starting to slip away from him. Just into the... Wow! Big catch there.
Amazing that he was able to save that thing. That is not a given at all.
And he had walls on either side, so it would have gone into a wall on one way or the other, depending on which way it spun. So the fact that he kept it pointed straight was critical in that moment. Did we miss something with Hugh Haycox? Hugh is in 3rd.
What happened there?
I'm going back to check.
It's
He
a similar
also had
issue.
a slip up. Yeah.
This was through 4. This was through turn 4, and he had almost an identical moment to Ante Lepisto, only under the other bridge.
Yeah, wheel spin, catch it. It's slow now, and there goes Ardo, taking valuable points.
2 almost identical incidents under 2 separate bridges. I mean, what are the chances of that?
So it's going to be 22 points for Ardo as it sits right now. Ante in 7th place is going to be 14 points, if I'm seeing correctly.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
Yeah, 14
It's
points.
going to be very, very close. There's a nice battle in 11th position between Marco Lay and Romain Belogri right now. Those two nose to tail as they head towards the line. Romain backing off just a little bit to try and get a good run onto the front straightaway. Manages to do so, but Marco Lay also has a decent run.
All right, coming down into the first corner as the 26 finds himself in a nice little fight, but Belorgi looks like he is dropping back. A Rang also not quite close enough. Can't miss a Rang's car, that is for sure. I do dig that paint, though. That is something to behold.
Nice battle here for P2 and the GTPs. Oh, Ardo and Hugh Haycox getting trapped underneath Jamie Hamill-Smith as Ardo wanted to get through the inside of Jamie Hamill-Smith and ended up having to be very tight and slow at the apex of turn 9. Now through 10 and off the exit. Hugh Haycox wants that second place back desperately. Let's see how desperately as they come towards 10. He's got to run. Ardo's going to try and cover it off. Hugh's going to go even further and break even later. He's not going to hit. Oh, he almost loses it and almost loses it again. Ardo Yamaki goes through a 3rd identical incident under the bridge.
I think those tires do not like dust and dirt today, because you can see as soon as he went off there, he couldn't even get it started to go, and back down to third. Ardo into second once again. So here's what's fascinating about that battle as we get more side by side. Orang with is that Clapper? Yeah, that is Jason Clapper, and Linus is able to get by. Now, Linus was battling with Belorgi before. How did they get separated here?
I think Linus had his own issue under the bridge. The GTP is really struggling with the downhill braking into turn 11, and it really is a very weird corner at turn 4. It's kind of a, about a 120-degree corner. That's a real challenge under the bridge. So a lot of GTPs struggling under the bridges today.
So I've done the math in my head, and again, take this with a grain of salt. It'll be 15 points between Antti Lepisto and Ardo Iamaki, because Antti has 15 drop points in his pocket. So if he finishes 7th, the 14 will become his drop points.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating coming down to the end. And those 14 obviously would not allow him to overtake Ardo Iamaki if both of them have an incident in the finale, as Ardo has a 0 in his pocket.
Yeah, what's so fascinating about this is that these two have not actually been the fastest most of the time this season, but they've been the most consistent, and they've stayed out of the trouble the most, and that's what's put them in the position to win the championship. So they may not be taking wins, but they take podiums and top 5s all the time, and that's what's kept them in the hunt.
I think saying they've kept out of trouble is generous, though. I think they've been more consistent than others, because they've had their fair share as well.
And kept out of trouble's relative, Joe.
Yeah,
it's the Campbell series.
As well, let's see if we got trouble here, because Antti Lepisto is having to play defense. If he loses another point, that makes it even worse. His drop points would be even less. And Jungbluth is trying to attack him for that 7th place. What did they get for 13 points? So yeah, he'd only have 13 points instead, but he will still score 15 no matter how many farther down he goes. But it makes life all the harder for him into the final round if he continues to slip backwards here, as they deal with the lap traffic of Letaniemi, who, by the way, is currently in 4th place.
Oh, Antti Lepisto, a little bit of a brake check, and oh goodness, that's as close as it gets there, folks, between Letaniemi and Lepisto. Letaniemi cutting off Lepisto to start with. Didn't realize, I don't think, that Lepisto was in his mirrors and then alongside. Oh my goodness, that was almost disaster for Lepisto, Joe.
A car's width left for him out there, and he managed to find it. Whew, okay, take a breather, guys. We've got now 9 minutes left to go, a quarter of the race left. Hugh Haycox, with that big slip up, has a big row to hoe to try and get back to Iamaki. It's about 5.5 seconds because of that. So it's possible, but unlikely at this stage, that he could try and get back up to second. But never say never here in Campbell, because the traffic could always play a part in it.
And the traffic has been playing a part for sure with the GTPs. The GTOs is trying to run their lines, and the GTPs really struggling to read those lines and to get by. That battle between Laust Olsen and Ove Trangrade, that just keeps going. It's still going. Ove cannot find his way past Laust, and Laust has been holding off Ove with all of his might.
And we know that Ove hails from Norway. Have we heard? I think Olsen's from Sweden, isn't he?
I wouldn't know.
Club Scandinavia has a couple countries involved in it. We'll have to clarify. Ooh. Apologies if I do have that wrong, and he's going to get held up. This is Phil Lake. Want to give some love, actually, to Phil Lake, because he's been running in second, and he's only 4 seconds behind Yuko Leskala. That's honestly a win in most people's book, because Yuko's usually frighteningly quick in this series.
Yeah, Laust a little bit slower off of 9 than Phil was, and Ove Trangrade forced to take 10 at a very shallow angle, but Laust Olsen very wide. Ove Trangrade with a good run off the corner, but he can't get through the gearbox as fast as Laust. This is his best shot he's had in a couple of laps. Does he want to take it? No.
No, he's going to sit behind. Amazingly, we've only lost 4 drivers in this race. Schumacher, Laughter, Mosquera, and Koivisto. You still have 31 drivers rolling. Kurt Clapper took repairs. He's back out. Saul and Hamill Smith both have had to take unofficial stops here into pit lane and get back out. And as close as that red and blue number 8 looks to the 10,
oh boy.
he just can't seem to get there. As this is our leader, it's going to check him up, but no opportunity yet again.
Yeah, Ovi, I think, might be a little gun shy after what happened in Monza with the leaders of the GTPs. We've seen that on some of our highlight clips before the races have started. Just a really brutal wreck from the leaders of the GTPs as they were trying to go around a GTO. And so I think Ove Trengerud, he had a door open. He had a lane that he could have taken to challenge Laus there, but I think he didn't want what happened in Monza to happen to him today. Oh, he just goes a little bit wide under the bridge of 4. And that's going to make him lose another half second.
Man, if we had another race today with this combination, I would be absolutely earmarking stay off the grass under the bridges. That has been the Achilles heels of the drivers here today.
Yeah, it really has, Joe. And honestly, it would be also brake early for the 2 turns before the bridges. Yeah. Because that has also been an issue for these drivers. The downhill, so honestly, what they're coming up to right here is probably one of the harder braking zones in the iRacing service. After being on a flat track all day, you come to this downhill sweeping braking zone into turn 11 with no banking to help you out. And it's just so challenging to get through there clean, and these drivers make it look easy.
5 minutes left now on the clock. The GTPs running 136s, 137s on their quicker laps. So should see about 4 to 5 laps left. And Sean Campbell, despite a brief moment being under attack from Hugh Haycox, brief moments, really a couple times that he caught up to him, has now got himself clear by about 4.5 seconds. It's Ardo Iamaki sitting in second place. You can see just how hazy it's been all day today at this circuit. 93% humidity out there, as they've got about 86 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself.
And Joe, I want to give a huge shout. Wow, look at the wind, 10 miles an hour. Sorry, I saw that. That stopped me a little bit. That might be another issue why the GTPs are having some trouble, as we see a little bit of a slip up there from Sean. But I want to give a huge shout out to 3rd place in the GTOs, Javier Del Olmo. He had a very rough time of it at the beginning of the race to try and hold on to that 3rd position. And Javier has now 14 seconds over Escaleta Niemi, who's well up there in the championship, 5th in the championship. Javier Del Olmo is absolutely stomping at this race.
Yeah, what a performance. I'm trying to think, when was the last time we saw him on the podium? We'll have to check the stats to see if he's done that this season. So yeah, great performances from the other 2 on the podium besides Yuko Leskala, who's basically kind of doing what we tend to expect him to do at this stage of his career that we've witnessed on the Kamel GT series. Let's go back to Trengerud, though, because the 8, once again, and this time he's actually going to show his nose, but he's not able to get through.
He's got to keep pressuring Laus and try and get Laus to make a mistake. Laus has improved his consistency over the last couple of seasons, but still not. He's still flappable, and so it's something that everybody knows, that you could push Laus to go a little bit too deep sometimes. And I think Ove's going to try and start showing his nose in these closing laps. 3 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock. He's going to try and start showing his nose and get Laus to make a mistake here.
And we've seen both of them be able to get mistakes out of the other throughout this race. Coming down into turn 7 once again, just tucked underneath that rear wing, waiting for the opportunity when those tires start to go a little bit off camber, sliding to the side on the car. Here comes traffic. That is Fabio Saul in front of them, and they've also got traffic in their own class up in front. Donald Peak might be one that they have to overtake down into the hairpin. Nicely done there, Fabio, letting them through.
Absolutely. He had nowhere to go to. Oh, second place, Ardo Iamaki's off.
And way off. Oh, championship
breaking point
swing.
into 11.
And once again, that has been a difficult turn. as Hugh Haycox is now up into P2 and Ardo Iamaki down to third. So that is 20 points instead. So that's only going to be
He's got a good run on Laos, Joe. This is the best run he's had all day, and I just mean it this time. He should have an opportunity into one, but Laos takes it deeper.
Just does not want to give this one up. So if it stays as is now, it's going to be 13 points between Lepisto and Iamaki coming into the final round. Still a very difficult mountain to climb. And yeah, I think this is where we're starting to see Ove feels like he's got to go. He's got to start making moves.
Yeah, he's got to get this move done. He's got to get it done in the next 2 laps probably, so he has a chance to run away from Laos. Now they're catching up to Don Peak, a lap car in their own class, and they're going to catch him through 7, 8, and 9 sequence. So this absolutely could hold up Laos and Ove, depending on if Don tries to pull over here, and he's not going to before 9, so this will hold up Laos under the braking.
Don't know. Maybe not a whole lot. There we go. Yeah, he's going to find a great spot right here. He's got experience in this series, and Don allows them through cleanly. But Trangray trying to get the launch, coming down off of the hairpin. It's there. He's going to get the slipstream, but the top speed of Laos Olsen is just too mighty for Ove Trangrade. He stays a step ahead. Oren Laskin is the next one up. They're absolutely catch him in the chicane.
Yeah, this is not a good place to catch an Audi. There's no way to go around, so Laos actually backs out of it a little bit. Good move from Laos there, but he gets held up just a little bit, just a touch of hesitation. Ove Trangrade has a run. Laos a little defensive, but he knows his best shot is to take a long, sweeping line through one, and that's exactly what he does.
Showed his nose a little bit, see if he could scare him off the line, and this is close, but it's still a good exit from Olsen. It'll be another dive potentially. No, doesn't even show it. It is white flag lap now. Sean Campbell's past the stand with Barney, giving him the 1 to go, and it is the last opportunity here on this lap. Ove Trangrade into turn 11. After that, it is going to be desperation.
Yeah, I'd say into turn 10 or into turn 11. I think if you spook Laos a little bit into turn 10, you might have an opportunity into 11. So he's got to do something desperate here through this sector in order to get it done.
As they come through the S's, he's sticking with it. He's doing what he needs to do. He's got to stay within reach to be able to actually send the dive. And if he loses touch out of 10, that will probably be game over for him. As we watch through here, here is the critical exit as we now switch over to Sean Campbell, braking almost gingerly, it looks like, down into turn 11, taking it easy to make sure he claims another victory. And I believe this is going to be number 2 this season for Sean Campbell, who comes out of the chicane with a win here at Motegi in round 11.
Unfortunately, Ove Trangrade just couldn't get the run off of the corner, so Laos Olsen is right now maintaining that position as they come off of the final turn. Laos Olsen with a good run off the corner. Ove Trangrade is going to take a look, but it's going to be too late. Laos gets 4th, Ove Trangrade 5th, Ardo Iamaki in 3rd, and Hugh Haycox in 2nd.
So Ardo did wind up with 20 points, and Lepisto just crosses now. He has 7. It's going to be a 13-point difference going into the finale for the championship in the GTPs. But this one's already been decided. Yuko Leskala, I don't know if he was holding back at all today, but he was kept at least slightly honest by Phil Lake, who's within about 3 seconds at the end. In fact, you could even see him in the mirrors a little bit there on the straightaway. Regardless, 9 wins now out of 11 races for Yuko Leskala as he comes through the final chicane here on the last lap. The championship was a hard-earned one for Yuko, and he continues to put a stamp on it here with victory in Japan.
It would not surprise me if someday I learned that Yuko Leskala is the winningest driver in Camel history. That would not surprise me one bit.
We'll have to
nice drift there through turn 1, Yuko.
We've got stats in the Sunday Grand Prix series. We'll see if we can get somebody to collate those for us as well here for Camel GT. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Twin Ring Motegi as celebrations from Yuko Leskala hot dogging it here around his victory lap past Phil Lake. But we're going to go to our GTP winners first, as it is Sean Campbell taking a win here today with Hugh Haycox behind him by only 3 seconds, and Hugh making a few mistakes that probably cost him a victory, and he even admitted it in the chat post-race. Ardo Iamaki wound up in third. Could have been even better for him, putting him farther away from his rival Antti Lepisto, but he does get it to 13 points difference by our estimations, calculations here after third on the track. Laus Olsen finishes P4 with a huge fight with Ove Trangarade that lasted all race long. Trangarade with P5. Robert Plumley was 6th as Antti Lepisto could only manage 7th, and he'll have to hope for a big mistake from Ardo for a chance at the championship after next round. Doug Cloud was 9th with Gianluca Gabbiani, P10. Then it's Marco Lay in 11th, Romain Belorgi, P12, Linus Orang in the 13th position. Jason Clapper did not set a qualifying time, went up 7 spots from 21st to 14th. Cam Porter was 15th today, followed by Emerson Gaudin in 16th, Pablo Suarez in 17th, and the last one on the lead lap. Don Peak up 4 spots to 18th, followed by Christian Arribas in 19th, and Kurt Clapper was the last of the prototypes able to finish this race 2 laps down in 20th in class.
Then we have Yuko Leskala, who won the race off of pole position, just got that early launch and was completely unbeatable since the beginning of the race. Phil Lake, coming home in second position, was able to bring it in from 8 seconds down to 3 by the end of the race, but couldn't quite get there to battle it out with Yuko. Javier Del Olmo, consistency from top to bottom today, brought him home in the bronze medal position, possibly for the first time this season. Escaleta Niemi comes home in 4th position, falling about 14 seconds off the back of Del Olmo, unfortunately, and Franco Scurry, consistent today, comes home in the 5th spot. Devin Donaghy had a little bit of trouble with the brakes today, still manages to climb his way back up to 6th, beating Carlos Fonseca and Oren Laskin and Ian Haycox, all of whom were in battles with themselves, and Jamie Hamill-Smith, who came home in the 20th position. Fabio Sol comes home in 4 laps back in 21st, with Andre Schumacher further back as well.
Looks like we've got our 15th place finisher ready to talk to us, Cam Porter, who hopefully we can hear from maybe about the main issue we've seen from everybody. Cam, nice race out there with a 5-position gain, but the big thing that we noticed was so many drivers in the prototypes had spins or near spins coming under the oval, the little overpasses here. What was going on there that was causing those strange situations?
I'm not sure. I was following Ben and Javier, and I think Ben got a little wide, and that caused a big crash, unfortunately, to take them both out. I was sorry to see that. But I didn't seem to have trouble coming out of there, I guess because of coming out of that slow corner, it can be tricky to get the power down, obviously. I wasn't struggling too much myself.
We see so much focus naturally with the top runners in both classes, so we don't often get to cover you, but you were definitely in quite a fight there with Jason, Emerson, Pablo, and those guys. What's your experience in the mid-pack here in the GTPs? Do you feel like it's pretty respectful?
Yeah, that was a pretty fun race with those guys. They kept me honest the entire time. Yeah, Jason was able to get by me eventually. He had a little more pace than I did, but Emerson and I were pretty well matched, and that was a lot of fun. Ultimately, I try to keep it safe. Safety is my utmost priority, and I try to just be clean around all the GTOs and race clean with my fellow mid to rear packers. So, yeah, that was a really enjoyable race today.
Oh, it was fun to watch. Again, congratulations, gaining 5 spots. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
I really want to thank you guys for your awesome coverage, really high quality broadcast, and great commentary from you guys. So thanks a lot.
That was Cam Porter, P15 at the end of today. Up next, Adams caught up with second place in the GTO's Phil Lake joining him.
Absolutely, Phil. It was a great race today. You did a great job of clawing all that time back towards the end that Yuko had put on you at the beginning of the race. But talk to me about this race and this track. It seemed like with how few GTOs were out there, the traffic was a little tough.
Yeah, Yuko was so fast at the start. I don't know. Well, I guess I was slow at the start. Let's put it that way. And then I figured it out halfway through the race, and I was kind of matching him after a few laps, and then I don't know. He just doesn't make any mistakes. It's so hard to keep up with him at the moment. But it was fun anyway. Chasing him. I really like this track. Yeah, and the traffic wasn't too bad today.
Yeah, it seems like his consistency is just absolutely unbeatable at the moment. Yuko clinching the championship today. And so, talk to me about this. This has been a challenging season for everybody. It seems like we've had a lot more participation, which has been awesome, but that's led to more incidents. Today was one of our cleaner races in a while. And do you think the track has something to do with that, or was it the smaller field?
Probably the smaller field mostly, I would say. Not having so many Audis to pass, so having a larger GTP field probably helps too, because you're not coming up on GTOs all the time, so the temptation to go for something a little bit desperate probably isn't there so much. But and it does help. I think we only got lapped twice today, like collectively by the field. So yeah, that helps too. I think at Snetterton it was 6 times, so it's a lot more overtakes. So yeah, I mean it was a lot better today, which is a good thing because we're going to Bathurst next, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, Bathurst multi-class with these two vehicles, usually a 20-second time difference. I cannot imagine how scary going over the top of the mountain is going to be for you. What are your thoughts heading into next week?
Well, I've done it enough times now. I just you have to trust everybody. So there's really only, in some ways it's a little bit more simple because there is a few places you can pass, and then there's a whole bunch of places you just don't bother. So you're expecting passes in certain places, and then you're just keeping an eye on the mirror in some other places, thinking like, please don't, and then if they do, you just, for your own sake, just try and make it work. So I really like Bathurst, and it is definitely a challenge in this series, so it should be a good one.
And last quick question before we go, GTO or GTP next week?
GTO, I think I'm gonna do a full season in the GTO next season, so I need to keep trying to get faster and faster to keep up with Yuko.
Well, we're excited to hear about that for sure. And thanks for talking to us, Phil. We'll see you next week.
All right, cheers, guys.
That was Phil Lake, our second place finisher in the GTOs. And we've got Hugh Haycox, who finished second in the GTPs. He's talking to Joe.
Indeed. I'll reiterate the same question to Hugh that I asked for Cam. There were so many slip-ups coming under the bridge with multiple drivers, sometimes changing positions for you, forwards or backwards. What do you feel like was the cause that made those corners such a challenge today?
Yeah, there was quite a few slip-ups. At least I had 2 under that bridge. I think it's partly because the grass is so close to the curb, to the exit curb, and you want to use as much of the exit curb as you can. But also, tyre wear is pretty bad around here. I found my tyres, especially my rear tyres, getting very slippery at the end there.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad combo, and that does explain a lot. Do you feel like a win could have been on without the mistakes? It did look like you kept catching up to Sean here and there.
Yeah, maybe. I think Sean, once he got a bit of a gap, he took it a bit easier, which allowed me to get closer again. But I think it would have been a tough ask to pass him, but you never know.
Well, we're glad to have you back now and racing again in the GTPs. Are you going to stick around for the finale at Bathurst?
Yeah, definitely. It should be interesting, fun and interesting, hopefully. But yeah, just gotta. Everyone needs to be on their best behavior, I guess.
Yeah, it hopefully is on the good side of fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a podium. Anybody you want to shout out to?
Yeah, you guys for putting on a great broadcast as usual, and my dad for the great driving he's been doing recently.
Yeah, indeed. He's been inspiring us as well. As that was Hugh Haycox finishing second up from third today. One last one, Laust Olsen in P4 playing a great defense. He is with Adam Lindgren.
Laust, you held off Ove Trangerade all day today. I cannot imagine how sweaty you are right now. That was a fight and a half. How did you do it?
I don't know. It was very intense. He was sitting there all race long, and especially the last few corners before the start-finish straight, he was really strong there, and also very close sometimes. So that was tough. I suspect he had a little more downforce than me, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that late braking dive you were doing down into turn 1 to defend against Ove. I haven't seen that in a while, and it definitely only worked for the prototypes, but was that something you knew about before going into this race? Is that something you discovered over the course of this race that worked?
It was actually where I normally braked, so or just very little later when he was really close. But I know that if I don't lock the brakes, I will be able to brake that late and still hold a good line through the corner. So that was yeah. I felt pretty good there. So that was good for me, I think.
And maybe I'm just not super observant, but I'm seeing it just now. I see you got a Sparko seat there, and you've got another wheel in the background. Have you been updating your setup recently?
No. The wheel that's standing behind me is one I have to install. The old seat I'm sitting in is a bit tired. It's a steel frame seat, and I've been using it for the past 10 years or so. So. It's sinking a little in the seat. I just haven't got around installing the other one yet. One I got from my boss, who couldn't use it in his real race car anymore because its homologation ran out. So I just need to install it. Just didn't get to it. And the wheels in the background are all my old wheels back from the old red Logitech wire-driven wheels to Momo. So
yeah, well,
that's old stuff.
Absolutely. It's great to hear about different people's rigs and how they're built. But Laust, fantastic drive today, coming home in fourth. And are you going to join us at Mount Panorama next week?
Yes, I am, for sure.
Awesome.
That's a really fun track.
Absolutely. So anyone you want to thank before we let you go today?
Yeah, you for the great broadcast you do, and the Kamel community, great drivers, and especially Ove for a great fight today. Ove is the kind of racer you can fight close without having to worry about any stupid things. He's very clean and very good driver. So thanks to him also.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Laust, and we look forward to seeing you for the finale next week.
Thanks. Looking forward to it too.
That was Laust Olsen, who finished in fourth today in the GTPs. Back to you, Joe.
Which is going to round us up. And of course, we want to thank the channel sponsor before we go, the Majors Garage. Make sure and check out our link in the description below and use our promo code MajorsGSRC to get 10% off. We also want to thank the Campbell community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store as well at gsrc.storeenvy.com. There's a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race, as we mentioned, Bathurst, Saturday, March 5th at noon Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.